Occult Confessions is brought to you commercial-free through the generous support of our patrons. Visit occultconfessions.com and click on Donate to help keep the history of the occult on the digital airwaves. Chidabaram Ramalingam, a 19th century Tamil poet and spiritual visionary, disappeared in a uniquely mysterious way, making reference to the popular trope of the locked room mystery popularized in the West by Edgar Allan Poe and Sheridan Le Fanu 3 decades before Ramalingam vanished. Ramalingam, now commonly regarded as a saint, locked himself in his hut and told his followers that they would not see him again. Days later, when the authorities busted his door in, there was no one inside. He had mastered deathlessness and transcended his body, causing his physical being to vanish in the process. My name is Dr. Robert C. Thompson, bringing you yet another installment in our series on occult disappearances. Going to India today with Johnny Cook.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, patron progenitor? How are things?
Things are rolling.
Things are rolling. Rolling along merrily?
Yes.
Functionally?
More of that.
Okay.
More of that, yeah.
I was feeling that merrily perhaps was not the accurate word for how they were rolling. And Evangeline Olsen. What's up, man?
Hello.
How are things?
Pretty good. Been out in the sun.
You've been out in the sun. It is camp season.
Yep.
Time for the care of children.
Lots and lots of children.
Other people's children. Yes. Yeah, we've been doing theater camp here. We got Julian Dobbs in the mix. You're going to hear him shortly. He's going to be doing our voice of the saint today. So Julian's feeling saintly after a month with kids. How about you? Feeling saintly?
No.
No? All right. Fine, fair enough. We, the members of the
Secret
Secret Order
Order
of
of
Alchemical
Alchemical
Actors, do solemnly commit ourselves to a full and honest telling of the history of the occult as far as we know it. Now, let me be clear. We are in India. It is difficult to find correct pronunciations for things on Indian subject matter. I'm always, guys, I do my best. I was most recently mispronouncing New York town names. I'm best known for mispronouncing geography, but we mean no offense in our attempted pronunciations. Of course, I am not a native Tamil Sanskrit speaker or any of that sort of business. Just going to do my best, but we do want to tell these stories. Let me be extra clear. We have been doing a lot of Western occultism, a lot of, American, European subject matter. This season, we made it to Africa, and I really wanted to go to India, so I get it. I'm not the best at pronouncing non-English names, but we got to do this. We got to do this, or the stories don't get told. So please bear with me. Let's do this. Chidabaram Ramalingam was born on the 5th of October, 1823, in Marudur, a village near Chidabaram in what is now the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, located on the eastern side of the southern tip of India. Let me say that one more time. It's tough to picture geography, right? The eastern side of the southern tip of India. You with me?
Yeah.
So furthest away from us. Where were we?
The eastern
side of the southern tip of India. This is home to a largely Tamil population. This is home to a largely Tamil population with a cultural center in the city of Madras and a capital city of Chennai.
What's Tamil?
Tamil is the name of the cultural group.
Okay.
Yeah. The Tamil people. So they are an ancient culture. Oh, I guess I'm answering it right now for you. I'll go into detail, John. Thank you for asking. They're an ancient culture with one of the earliest known classical languages. Just so you know, Boxy's bullying John off camera.
Off mic.
Off mic. Silent.
So when he says Boxy, he means Evangeline.
Oh, Evangeline,
aka
yeah, sorry.
me.
There you go. Now you
He
know.
thinks everybody knows.
Sorry. Where were we? They are an ancient culture with one of the earliest known classical languages. His mother, Ramalingam's mother, Chinnamai, was his father's sixth wife. His father, Ramaya Pillai, was a village administrator. Ramalingam was their fifth child. Though he was given many honorifics during his life by his followers, he preferred to be called Chidabaram Ramalingam after the temple near his birthplace. So you may have noticed a village near Chidabaram. That's the name he took. It's just his closest temple. He began with the religion of Shiva worship. This is called Saivism, something like this. But it's the worship of the god Shiva, or Siva. In Hinduism, we have Vishnu, we have Shiva, for the most part. Naturally, on this show, we've talked about some alternatives, right? But these are your main schools of worship. So he began in this school of worship and realized the truths of all religions through this. This is called Samarsam. So it's a little bit like, studying, a specific sect of Christianity and realizing the truth that all religions are one. You just study baptism real hard. I don't know if this is going to work. And you dig into it so deeply that you see that, in fact, all religions are true. That's what happened with this guy. The worship of Shiva, Shaivism, holds that Shiva is the supreme god who controls the world and directs souls toward perfection, with God as an independent reality and the souls and the world as realities dependent upon God. What do you guys, Mike? You guys were raised Christian. What do you think? Is this too far off from a Christian viewpoint? I mean, other than the fact that Shiva's blue and has a trident and stuff.
I don't know how to wrap my head around the different realities. That seems kind of out there, but it probably means something similar in different words.
Yeah, I would say that, from many different, standpoints, I think all of them have a lot of things in common, even if they have other things that are not.
I think if I had to compare it, now Hinduism conceives of vast numbers of dimensions and that sort of thing, but I think in its most simple form, it's that Catholic, I identify this as Catholic, but I think it's broadly Christian, differentiation between spirit world and physical world.
Yeah.
World of spirit, world of angel, world of devil, and world of us.
Heaven and earth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Shiva belongs together.
Simplistic core values and thought processes.
There's a non-material world and a material world. Shiva belongs to the non-material world. Now, this is not exact, but I'm trying to create a comparison, right, with what our terms here.
But the soul belongs in the physical world in that case.
They emanate from God, so the soul is sort of dependent. Yeah, there's differences. Yeah, you're right. I think you're catching a difference there. Ramalingam characterized his religious life as moving from worshipping the form aspect of God to the divine light, a path he called Samarasa Sudha Sanmargam, the integral, pure, or transcendental path which takes the truth of all religions and has no enmity toward any spiritual path. This is very occult confessions. He taught his students to meditate on the light and not any specific idol or deity, which is common, of course, in Hinduism. There are many gods that people direct their worship toward. So he wants to remove the god from the equation and just say, here, look at the candle. Because it's the early 19th century, remember. No light bulbs. He taught his students to meditate on the light. Sanmargam, or the search after truth, is an ancient concept in Tamil religion, but Ramalingam contributed the philosophy of Samarasam, the middle path in the search for truth that transcends all philosophies and all religions. So this is also a bit of his innovating on the way Shiva worship is being practiced at the time, or really Hinduism. All right, Julian, step on up to the plate here.
My sister, the time is come for the coming of the Lord of grace. Hasten to the light the myriads upon myriads of beautiful lamps. In lighting them use, I pray thee only clear fresh cow's ghee, for aught else may mar the wondrous complexion of my Lord. Sister, do not ask. There is no darkness. It is only morning. Why should lights be lit? But see, lighting is only an auspicious symbol of the coming of my Lord. Listen, sister mine. Do not be confused. Be clear in your mind. An infinite number of moons, suns, and fiery flames together cannot come anywhere near the brilliance of my Lord.
Very nice. I want to clarify that Ramalingam is probably best known, or his fame stems from his poetry. Who's known as a great poet. So Julian will be bringing us some of that poetry so we can hear it, albeit through translation. At 5 months old, so let's get to his biography. Ready? So you got a sense of like broadly what this guy is up to?
Yeah.
All right, now let's get to the details. Starting at 5 months old. That's when all religious practitioners' careers get started. So he went with his mother and his father to see the formless aspect of God, which is represented at the Chidabaram temple. So this is an interesting temple. They don't have a specific deity. They have the formless aspect of God, God beyond idol. Yeah. So
I kind of like that concept.
isn't
Yeah.
it neat?
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what that looks like. Like that kind of temple. Like what is it?
Oh, the temple? I think it probably, I mean, we could look it up, but I think it's not, there's the outside of the temple, I think is probably nothing remarkable. It's what's happening inside that's strange, because there's, well, not strange, and I guess this is a tradition, right, of
Yeah.
Hinduism, that these sorts of temples exist, but there's no idol
No
inside.
statue, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mostly empty, but just filled with
Something, I don't know.
people.
Yeah, well, there will be people who come and
Yeah.
go, yeah. And also, like I noted,
That's a kind of cool thought, too. That the formless aspect of God is
ooh,
the people in there.
man, yeah.
Mhm.
Where the people make it present in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You go to the Hindu temple to be seen by the god, and it's a very sacred moment, the opening of the god's eyes by the artist, whatever artist crafts the idol. So you go to be witnessed by God and to witness God, to be in that space. So in his formlessness, yeah, or their formlessness. It's an interesting idea. So, I mean, let me just make a quick side note while we're sort of tangenting that, isn't it fascinating that he's living right next to this temple and he comes up with this concept of a god, of a religion that transcends all religions. He's already there
At 5 months old.
at 5 months old. Yeah.
So what he's saying later on is basically what that temple was saying.
In a way, I don't want to project onto it because I think he is fairly innovative in creating a theology around this. But the formless aspect of the god Shiva maybe is what's being represented here, whereas he would put us even beyond Shiva and say
Yeah.
that Shiva, the god, is all gods and all gods are one.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the goddess in Hinduism, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He saw, at 5 months old, a mystical vision of the dancing Shiva, Nataraja. The Chidabaram temple is unique for representing God's formlessness and served as a center of worship of both Shiva, and Vishnu. But again, he's beyond Shiva, he's beyond Vishnu, he's beyond Hinduism. Ultimately, that's where he goes, not at 5 months old. And suggests that the temple predates any division between their worship. Yes. So we also have to bear in mind that as Hinduism develops, it creates divisions and splinters off gods and adds gods, and the pantheon of Hindu gods is formed as a historical thing. So theoretically, this temple predates Vishnu and Shiva being separate deities. The temple followed a Vedic system of worship, but Ramalingam hoped to change it to an agamic practice. What that means is it would honor Vishnu, Shiva, and you guys were talking about the goddess Shakti. He was unable to do this, which prompted him to start his own center of worship at Vadalore, constructed to resemble Chidabaram, but with a more universal focus. Historically, followers of Vishnu and Shiva regarded each other as unorthodox or uninformed, marking a deep tribal rivalry in South India that Ramalingam was one of the first to transcend. Isn't it fascinating, right? Catholics and Protestants, or even like Baptists and Methodists,
Yeah.
It gets down to this kind of thing. It's a very common thing in religion to see it happening in India, right? It's humbling.
Yeah.
Uninterested in school as a boy, he turned his attention to the worship of the Lord Muruga, and Saint, and heaven help me here, Ganana Sambandar, also known as Sambadar, who composed over 16,000 hymns to Shiva. He's a 7th century saint. 384 of his hymns survive. This saint was among the most prominent of 63 Nayanars, or early medieval Tamil saints. At the age of 3, when his parents took him to a temple, this saint was visited by Shiva and Parvati, and his father discovered milk had materialized in his mouth, prompting the child to point to the sky and credit the divine couple of Shiva and Parvati. When he was 16, this saint caused all the attendees at his wedding to merge with the divine effulgence in the month of Vaikasi. So just like everyone suddenly has this transcendent spiritual experience at his wedding. His image appears in most Shiva temples in a dancing posture with an arm extended and a finger pointed toward the sky. So this is the saint that our saint is idolizing. Chains of saints. Medieval guy.
I didn't know there were saints in Hindu religions.
I mean, we're translating it into our terms. It's sort of like an advanced holy person.
Gotcha.
You know? Yeah. Saint. Sambadar was believed to be an incarnation of Shiva's son, also known as Maruga or Skanda. So who is Lord Maruga? Shiva, I believe, has 2 children, Ganesha and Skanda, who can also be called Maruga. Hinduism, you just sort of have to roll with it. They have many names, right? Because of, historically, the way Hinduism takes local gods and folds them in is my take on it. So probably Maruga and Skanda used to be separate deities, but as Hinduism expanded, they became one. Maruga is regarded as the god of the Tamils and fits neatly into Shiva worship as Shiva's own child. Maruga or Skanda is the youngest son of Shiva and Parvati, with Pilayar or Ganesha being the oldest son, who also, of course, is worshipped, the elephant-headed god. At the age of 9, Shiva's supposed to have cut off his own son's head, and then his wife was mad, so she said, fix it. So he got the elephant. At the age of 9...
That's interesting.
It is, yeah. I think it's a complex spiritual metaphor.
Yeah.
But Ganesha was formed from the in one story of the Puranas, was formed from the bathwater, the lint from his mother's body formed him.
Oh, wow.
And I believe she loved him so, right? And the father became jealous. And
Yeah.
Yeah, the conflict ensued. Really a conflict between Shiva and Parvati, with Ganesha sort of stuck in the middle. Skanda appears in most Shiva temples in a dancing posture. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? Whoops. So, at the age of 9, he had a vision of Maruga, our saint, Ramalingam, in a mirror, seeing him with his 6 faces and 12 arms, his spear, his peacock, and his banner. Again, Hindu saints. Well, maybe not again. This is the first time I'm mentioning this. They have a lot of props. They have a lot of arms. They have a lot of props. These are all symbolic. There's complex symbolism in Hinduism.
Hold on, I think I might be lost. Maruga is the younger son of Shiva, or he's the saint?
Maruga is the younger son of Shiva, and our saint has turned from Shiva to Maruga.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes, and also that medieval saint we were talking about.
Yeah.
So he's really into these guys now.
Okay.
So he's 9 years old, and he's really into these. Okay. The worship of Maruga dates back to the Indus Valley civilization, when Maruga was the favored god of the Tamils, and Shiva was regarded as the supreme god. Around the age of 12, he resorted to solitude, our saint, and paid daily visits to the shrine of Shiva at Thiruvotriyur, and came to regard Maruga and Shiva as one, and often described them as having the same attributes. So, we've got the sun god and the father god, and he's saying, actually, same god. Young man, he's just, working up to these opinions.
At 9 years old?
He's 12 at the time.
Okay, 12.
Are you
That's
less
still
impressed?
crazy.
That's pretty good.
I'm thinking about the 12-year-olds now, and
He didn't have TikTok. That was his advantage.
yeah, this is so true.
True.
But yeah, I mean, he's very focused on spirituality from a young age, which makes him a terrible student.
Yeah.
He came to believe that all gods, of course, of the world were one god. He often would keep away from his family. His brother's wife was feeding him. His parents had passed, and so his solitude caused him to go hungry. He talked in his poems about the Lord feeding him. Any coins given to him he would toss in a well or tank unless he felt the money was given for a higher purpose. In that case, he would donate it to the needy. So he's not really taking good care of himself. He's busy giving it all away. He doesn't want to own anything. His brother spurned him for being unwilling to learn the scholar's approach to Shiva worship, but his brother's wife mothered him and took care of him, as I was mentioning, which kept him from running away from home. Her love demonstrated the need for love in his life. She's providing that motherly love because his parents are dead when he's quite young. As a youth, he and a friend considered taking up the wandering ascetic life of a sannyasin, but his family discouraged him. These are the guys, they look like Gandhi, and they're walking on the side of the road. They're often covered in ash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they have the begging bowl, I think. And so he was like, oh, I want to, because he's very spiritually focused. Of course, he's going to go do that. But his family's like, nah, don't do that. It's just not what we do. And it's true. That is an element of Hindu culture, but not of Tamil culture. So Tamil holy men would not get up to this sort of like wandering beggar thing. He had in fact begun wandering the streets of Madras and staying in temples until, that is, his brother's wife called him in and offered him the motherly love he was seeking. His brother's wife set him up in a room where he taught himself, guided by God. So now he's getting into the schooling. Despite his lack of formal schooling, he would go on to become a great teacher to scholars like Thuluvor Mudaliar, and an advocate for the education of the young, as well as women, adults, and old people. He reminds me of Krishnamurti in some ways. He discouraged the use of the cane in teaching, but was sometimes frustrated by students' lack of discipline.
What's the cane?
Oh, like beating you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good old spankings.
Okay, I see.
It's the early 19th century, remember? First decades of the 19th century, so they just give you a good whack.
Yeah,
make you cut your own switch.
I just never, I never heard of it called that before.
Bush and cut off a switch so I can smack you around. Yeah, that's the cane. You got caned.
Ouch.
Yeah. So he is interested in education and yes, frustrated by students' lack of discipline. So I don't know what 19th century TikTok would be, but like, marbles, old hoop and stick.
So he did get into like...
Those kids should be beat with the stick, not beating a hoop with it.
He did get into like reading.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, he's a highly literate guy by the time he's a poet, I think, but he just doesn't grow up with it. He's not good at it.
Gotcha.
He just gets into it, I think, as a matter of his spiritual training. His family insisted that he marry, but he spent his entire wedding night reading.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's cheating on her with the books.
He's reading the Thiruvachakam of Saint Manikavasakar. He spent much, as you've all read, I'm sure, he spent much of his time with his wife discussing hymns with her, and she actually died within 7 months of their wedding.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. I mean, it's rough. It's early 19th century India, so I'm sure there's 100 ways you can die young.
Do you know how she died?
No, it's not in any of the things that I read. There's no record of how she passed.
Oh, wow.
But she wasn't like hit by a wagon or anything. I assume it was some sort of illness.
Yeah.
In 1855, he left Chidabaram to learn from Lord Nataraja, a representation of Shiva as master of the cosmic dance. Let me just do that again. Lord Nataraja, I get it. It's tough to keep up with all these things. That's just Shiva. Just like Muruga is just Skanda. And Skanda's just Shiva's son, and if you ask my saint here, they're the same guy. Nataraja is the name given to Shiva when he is doing his cosmic dance. You've seen these images. The most famous image of Shiva is with his arms, up dancing and his knee in the air and 1 foot on the ground. From the age of 12 to 35, our saint worshipped at Thiruvotriyur in Madras. He stayed at Kurunkuzi, where he finished and published his first 4 books of poems. His publishers wanted to credit him as Ramalinga Swami, the teacher, right? The great teacher Ramalinga, but he refused the title Swami, saying that it was pompous. What?
Pompous.
Pompous. You just like the word?
Yeah.
Or you're looking at me too close?
You're pompous.
Fighting words. Now Julian's doing it. John's looking away.
I actually just zoned out for a quick second.
These people out here in listener land would know by now if I'm pompous. It's been 7 years. You guys should have written in. Although his followers, I think I mispronounced things so aggressively that I could never really be pompous on a podcast. He refused the title Swami. Okay. Although his followers attempted to induce him to return to Madras, he disliked city life and remained at Kurunkuzi until he was 44. He published 5 books of poems in his lifetime, and a 6th was published after his disappearance, absent any instruction from Ramalingam. We can only say his disappearance because we don't know when he died, if or when he died. The 6th Thermurai, as his books are called, they're called the Thermurai. That's what the name of the volumes are, the 6 books. So the final book focused on his philosophy of Samarasam, the blending of all religions, or the recognition of all religions as one. The first 5 were devoted to songs for specific gods. With me so far?
Yeah, you can kind of see the progression a little bit there.
Mm-hmm. From 1858 to 1867, so we're in the Civil War years in America, he lived in the small village of Kurunkuli. City life, he said, made a man's heart shrink, and so he accepted an invitation from Vangada Reddyar to live under his roof in the countryside. It's an interesting idea. City life makes your heart shrink. Why do you think that is? Do you have ideas
It's
about that?
like a Grinch sort of way.
Go on.
Where you know how like when the Grinch kind of became empathetic and cared about other people, his heart grew in size.
But why would you think city life causes your heart to shrink, in his opinion?
I think, well, I guess in my opinion, if I thought about that, it would be the lack thereof of nature and everything being so artificial.
Mm-hmm.
And commodified.
Yeah, like every...
Okay, it's the extreme presence of commerce, the lack of natural experience. You're disconnected from nature. You feel disconnected from nature.
It feels less spiritual.
Let me add one more thing to this equation. I think you're probably both onto something there, because the commerce is really putting us in the material world, and being cut off from the natural world is like generally we consider the natural world, right? Bringing us closer to God. The city's also generally populated with beggars, because you can't beg in the countryside. It's a long walk from house to house.
True.
And you can't feed every beggar.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to harden your heart to a certain extent to go through the city. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're crying over every beggar. So I think this also has an impact.
That's really true.
It's something to think about.
I mean, I've experienced that in like Baltimore even.
Right.
Like right where we are, like there's a lot of that, and you can't give out everything, and it hurts.
I think it was Francis who said, the most recent dead pope, that you should just give to the beggar, to the homeless person, and not worry about it. If not for them, then for yourself, so that you aren't hardening your heart against their need. Like maybe they're going to use it on the needle, maybe they're going to use it on the bottle, whatever. Don't you worry about that. You should just give. I don't know. It's a complex point spiritually. There's a lot to process there.
Yeah.
I at least try to give like something they can eat, because
if you
can't go wrong with that.
But you can't feed everybody, right?
No.
Then that becomes the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never lived in a city. I've only ever lived in the countryside. I've only ever really had an interaction with one homeless person.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, it's
a lot easier to say yes in that instance.
You can't survive, begging in the countryside. In Annapolis, even, we do have some people at the traffic lights, right? Because there's enough traffic there that it warrants it could work for you. But yeah, it doesn't work out here in the country.
No.
He spent much of his time during this period in the fields, worshiping and meditating in isolation. During this period, his mind shifted from religion to a transcendent way of thinking, allowing him to realize the truth of all religions. He taught that religion had a mission to teach humans how to live a good life on this earth, and worried over sectarians' distraction from just addressing the social life of their followers. He told his followers to concentrate on the light and meditate on that rather than worshiping idols. Meditation was a way of channeling energy and focus, often toward a deep and thoughtful experience of the world. This is not to suggest that Ramalingam necessarily prescribed any form of ritual worship. He warned that songs and yoga were distractions from the real practice of love, and love should not be approached as a spiritual or metaphysical path, but rather for the purpose of social harmony. It was an end unto itself. Wow, this feels like Krishnamurti word for word, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It also kind of sounds like improvisation. I know that's like
No, I think
completely
you're right.
different,
No.
but like sitting and
Go on.
focusing on a light, because when we've done our exercises together, like for class and stuff,
In theater.
and theater in general,
Mhm.
you usually focus on one thing, like a color, an element, And-
Word.
a word. It can be literally anything, but you focus on that one thing, you get rid of anything physical, any other thoughts that come through, and just let be what is.
I mean, Krishnamurti talks about creativity in this context. Love and creativity, being spontaneous, right? Or being truest when they're most spontaneous. And I think, to follow your point there, Evangeline, about the improvisation, you're performing with others.
Yeah.
And that connection with others is really, that's when it gets real good and beautiful. And I would put to you that, co-creating in that space is a space of love.
Yeah, it opens a gate to something that we like to shut off
Yeah.
as humans.
Yeah.
And when you do that, that's the easiest way to really connect with somebody on a spiritual level.
You're honoring their creative voice
Yeah.
in that space. In order to transcend the individual religions, a person had to read the classic texts of all religions. I love this. Have you guys seen the Hugh Grant movie?
No.
About the Mormons, the Mormon missionaries come? It's a horror movie. How have you not seen this yet, John?
I have. It's Heretic.
Heretic,
Great
yes.
movie.
It is a good movie. I recommend it. Not at all anti-Mormon, in my opinion. Although I think the Mormon Church took issue with it. I think it's actually quite pro-Mormon because the villain is the anti-Mormon, right?
Yeah.
But there's a moment in this where Hugh Grant's character, and this is giving nothing away about the story, but he says that he has studied all the religions and that this is the fast food of the soul, is to study all these religions, because he proceeds to dismiss them. He's basically a militant atheist, I think? It's really kind of difficult at the end of the day to parse exactly what he believes.
Yeah.
But with John and I won't give it all away. You should watch it. But I sort of thought on this because, after all of us here at Occult Confessions, but me especially, spend a lot of time reading about all the religions of the world, and the notion that it's fast food, that we're not nourishing ourselves with this, was bizarre to me. Because I feel that in reading, personally, I feel in studying other religions, it brings me closer to an understanding. It's sort of like glimpsing God from all angles. Do you want to jump in here, John? What do you think the character's fault is? Why is it that he views it this way when he does the reading?
It feels like he goes into it from a skeptical mindset. Almost like he's kind of already decided the outcome.
Yes.
And tries to construct the argument and find things to back up his already very strong opinions.
It's this weak atheist concept and it's been a while since I've thought about this. I saw the movie a couple months ago, but it's this weak atheist notion that insofar as a religion must be literally true in all detail, all religions are false. Which is just madness, rather than reading the religions in order to discover the underlying truth and accepting that most of what you read on the surface is not the occult truth
Yeah,
that
it's
it's
not
trying to
literally-
convey.
Do you
Yeah.
think it's kind of like, because they're reading instead of practicing, and there's a big difference between reading and practicing. Like, you can read any sort of religious book, but that doesn't really step into what it actually looks like, what it actually feels like.
I wrestle with that too, Evangelina, because I think most of my spiritual practice is actually reading of these religions. Krishnamurti, I think, has really given me pause on this subject because he says that there is no ritual. Even Ramalingam is saying to some extent there is no ritual, there is no practice that you can get up to. But I think, to your point, the way I've come to understand it, which is the way I'd already been living, so maybe I'm just like finding confirmation in certain sources that I'm choosing to favor, but that the practice of religion doesn't happen in a church or in a temple. It happens when you hug your child. It happens when we sit and have this conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
We're practicing in the patience and the love and the attention we're giving each other. And our listeners are practicing in the attention they're giving us and the patience they're giving us. I think the practice is a constant thing.
And we were talking about this in the beginning, the core values in a lot of different religions, there's similar core values. So we, like, to your point, are practicing that, hopefully, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore bringing us closer and more spiritually connected.
I think if we choose to view it that way, maybe the point of heretic
Yeah.
is to a certain extent that it's your perspective on things that can turn it either quite glorious and beautiful, like the Mormon girls seem to see the world, or the world becomes this horrible,
Cynical.
terrible torture
Yeah.
chamber of a place to live. It's fascinating. I think it's a very pro-religion movie, personally. Far more so than X. Another movie John enjoys.
Oh yeah, it's a great trilogy.
Yeah. So anyway, Julian's itching because his poem is coming up here. In order to transcend all the individual religions, a person had to read the classic texts of all religions, or perhaps as many as possible. Yeah.
Sorry, I had a thought.
Yes.
Just about the fast food thing.
Yeah.
It feels like instead of like looking into the works and the readings of different religions as being the fast food, from a sort of a Krishnamurti perspective, the ritual of the religion is more of the fast food
Mm-hmm.
than
Yes.
the actual practice.
There's a real practice of the religion that is not the ritual.
Yeah, and
The
the ritual
yeah.
itself is the fast food. It's the non-substantive, cheap.
The window
way.
dressing.
It's like
Yeah.
when, because we both grew up in a Christian home, like when the pastor says, you're an Easter or Christmas come and go, like it's
Yeah.
the fast food. Oh, I've come to church, therefore I'm saved.
But even if you go every Sunday, it's just window dressing if it
Oh,
isn't a legitimate.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you're
And
just like, you think you can check a box and be right with God and be spiritual, but it's not. That's not real. You're not doing anything.
you actually
Like a
haven't.
Pharisee.
You're not connecting
You're a
with
Pharisee.
anybody or anything.
Yeah.
You're just going and being, but not really.
You're giving yourself a pass for not doing the real work of living it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Reading the classic texts, or as many as possible, you come to the realization that there are great truths in each practice and discover the philosophy that unites them all. Let's hear a bit from the saint.
We are the fittest for the task, and we will find him out. So resolved the myriads of age-long scriptures, each one sang by itself in search of him. Each one exclaimed, "He is here, he is there." Each one ran hither and thither to get a glimpse for him. Each one extended and still extended its hand to grasp him in vain. But lo, both the uttermost and the inmost expanse went on receding and still receding, concealing and still concealing.
His followers published his poems under the title Theorarupta. I've struggled with this before. Theorupta, calling Ramalingam Valalar. Again, he didn't like the honorific title Valalar, but he but this provoked the Orthodox Shivites, led by the priest Arumuga Navalar, which ended in a lawsuit that Ramalingam won. Weird to think of the saint in court. So, although his followers set themselves up in opposition to the Shiva worshippers, Ramalingam rejected this approach, and some Shiva worshippers regarded him as a great teacher of Shivism. While he regretted that his opponents misunderstood him, he believed that his followers wasted their time in arguing. So, don't get up to debating other religions. Don't get up to debating people about their beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
Oh, it literally doesn't.
It's a waste of time. So the saint knew. He knew this. He wasn't alone in promoting a new philosophy of religion along these lines in the 19th century, and is often grouped with Aya Vaikundar and Narayana Guru. All three taught a transcendence of caste and religious difference. Narayana Guru, born in 1856, said that there was one caste, one religion, and one God for all human beings. Vaikundar, whose theology was quite complex, is credited with being the avatar of the dancing Shiva and founding the religion of Ayavasi, or the Master's Way. Vaikundar preached against the white devils, or British occupants of India, and was imprisoned for 110 days. When he was released in the late 1830s, his followers gathered together on the seashore, having sold their property at half of its value at his direction. They ate rice and mung bean from the sand and drank seawater while performing religious exercises for 6 months. Think about that diet. And from the sand is intentional. It's unpleasant because you're literally doing what you hate to have happen at the beach. You're sticking your sandwich in the sand and then eating it rather than complaining about the sand in your sandwich.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord. Crunchy.
Yeah. These people that he had gathered on the beach returned to their native homes and were welcomed as receivers of a kind of enlightenment. The theology of Vaikundar centers on the Guru himself being the incarnation of Shiva or Vishnu and the source of Ekam, or the oneness of all being. Before Vaikundar, God manifested in many different ways to many different people, but when the sixth aspect of Kroni, or evil, incarnated in the form of a male Kali, God incarnated as Vaikundar to raise the Santor, or 7 sons of Vishnu, to do continuous battle with him. You don't need to keep up with all this if you're struggling. So this is not our saint, right? This is one of 3 people who are having a similar idea about one God, one religion. But our guy Vaikundar has a very complicated story. These 7 sons were the children of 7 virgins who served Shiva but were fooled by Vishnu into being his children. 7 human women became possessed of these divine females, and Vaikundar married them as part of his religious movement. Wow. Kind of cult leadery, if I'm being blunt. There's a lot of sex with multiple women going on here, and I am God, and that sort of stuff. So, yes, similar to Ramalingam in theology, but very different in practice and example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is the thought is kicking around, but for my money, Ramalingam is sort of the purest conveyor of it that we have record of. For his part, Ramalingam had no use for human partners. In 1867, he moved to Vadalore, where he established his temple, along with a school, meditation center, kitchen, and shelter for the poor, and a medical center, which were all built on land gifted to him by the villagers. He believed that the kingdom of God could be achieved here and now, in part through the establishment of a welfare state. Oh boy.
Oh.
Yep. Here come my socialists out there. My Marxists are suddenly chanting alone in their cars. The temple was called Satya Ganana Sabai, a site for all religious people based on the Agamas rather than the Vedas, where there would be no religious practice in the temple. Instead, devotees meditated and concentrated on their own inner being. Part of his philosophy encompassed ahimsa, or the principle of bringing no harm to any living being, and so he often objected to the worship of village deities like Mariamman and Kali, which could involve animal sacrifice. Kali, the unamiable consort of Shiva, who represents the face of the goddess as warlike, has her own episode. But Mariamman may be new to you all. So she was the Tamil mother goddess, whose name means the bringer of rain, which meant that she was also the bringer of prosperity. Rain feeds the crops. Today, sacrifices here do not incorporate animals, but rather rice and mung bean, but in the days of the saint, they were animal sacrifices. So this is not to suggest that he didn't see the truth in the religions of village gods. He sang songs to many of them, but the ritual of sacrifice was anathema to him. He was known to run to disrupt a sacrifice whenever he came across one. So he would just go run and break up the ritual.
Stop, don't do it.
Save that pigeon. He taught that God is love, and God is in all living beings, and so it made no sense to sacrifice any living thing in the name of God. Most famously, he brought an end to animal sacrifice at the Thulakunathu Miriamal Koil temple, where he persuaded the villagers of the evil of the practice despite their worry that God would be angry at them for discontinuing it. His compassionate teaching also included the caste system and religious hierarchy more broadly. To substitute for these archaic systems, he called for universal love for all beings and a willingness to help anyone who needed it. The human body is a temple to God, and so service to humans is service to God. Acting with genuine care for the welfare of our neighbors is a natural path to spiritual enlightenment. We've been talking about this, right? All episode. Religions and philosophies do not make a full human. Only love can accomplish that. And love is not a theoretical concept, but something that you must realize, and as Evangeline was talking about, practice. The family is one means to accomplish this. So think about this. For him, the family provides the microcosm through which the individual can realize that the whole world is our house and every living being our relative. If I can figure out how to love my children, I can figure out how to love your children, I can figure out how to love you. My wife, I love my wife, I figure out how to love you. Because our families are a pain in the butt. Right? We're with them all the time, right? My children are a pain in the butt. They require a lot of love. And I'm supposed to be the main source, right, of love for them. But that's how I learned to be more patient. Where were we? Although Ramalingam never married, he participated in the marriage of friends and advised that marriage was fine, as long as one concentrated on one's innermost self and on God.
He didn't get married?
Nope.
I thought he got married for like 7 months.
Yes, I mean, that was the thing, but he never remarried.
Okay.
And arguably that was
Like a forced...
Well, it was, but I don't know that it was any kind of sexual relationship or anything at all.
Yeah, just poetry.
Basically. All right, let's hear it.
My lord, thou art the great Himalaya that is yet within the grasp of the hand of love. Thou art the mighty monarch that yet abides, aye, the humblest hut of love. Thou art in all that stays yet entangled in the net of love. Thou art the deathless Amirtha that yet lies at ease in the palm of love. Thou art the encompassing sea that is still contained in the pitcher of love. Thou art the pervasive intelligence that is yet secured within the life of love. Thou art the glorious effulgence that is yet imprisoned within the atom of love. O thou art the transcendent God that is love and love alone.
He taught that all are part of Arat Purunjothi, or Thanapura Karunai. What I'm trying to say is the oneness of reality. Everyone's part of the oneness of reality. Living beings are not isolated from each other, and dualism is an illusion. Grace, greatness, and light characterize the true nature of all being. Religion came into being in order to unite people, and none recommends separation from others. All human beings are devotees of the same God, who has neither form nor name. Names and forms are created by humans, and we must go beyond them to understand God. Humans become too worldly through a focus on material gain and wealth. It is madness not to think about death. Our goal in this life is to help others and share in their suffering and to gain mastery over death, the only real enemy of life. There are 3 steps on the ladder to mastery of death. Experience the soul, experience grace or knowledge of the reality beyond word and thought, and experience God. Let's focus on that second one, grace. Grace can also be defined as the unbounded love toward every living being. A smaller love flowers into a grander love. God's grace only surfaces in the egoless individual. The second stage acknowledges that the beginning and end of reality are encapsulated within the self. You guys follow all that?
I think for the most part, yeah.
Got to get over yourself, basically. But from that stems love. You open yourself up. You sort of become a vessel of God.
So what he's saying, one of the parts is like you shouldn't isolate.
Correct.
Didn't our saint isolate in the end?
Well, in the beginning, and yes, he does lock himself away at the very end, but he spent a lot of time building hospitals and stuff, so...
Yeah.
Leading a disciplined life is important to the path. One must avoid harshness and wickedness, embrace sweet words and actions, and a healthy body. Direct the mind toward the heart in which the divine lives. Treat everyone as equal, and look past and erase social hierarchies and boundaries separating people, and then look upon all living beings as alike. Knowledge of equality across people and across species requires the help of divine grace. You need God's help, which comes through the other disciplines. If you can work on yourself, work on your ego, God will come in and help you. Ramalingam's thinking was theistic, coming through Shiva worship. Unlike Buddhism or Jainism, which promotes the individual's own effort as the path to enlightenment, Ramalingam talks about working through God's grace. The burden of working through one's own egoism is too great to undertake without God's help. In a way, like this is such an aid to overcoming your ego. You're acknowledging that you can't do it alone. God's grace is like sunlight that causes the flower to bloom only if the individual has transcended ego. All of this leads to a complete transformation of self, yielding deathless life.
Oof, that was good.
Intense, man. Let's hear a little bit more poetry.
Even if I forget him, he, my lover, will not forget me. Such is my trust, and that is why I am carefree. Yet, till this moment, I forgot the heavens. I forgot the heavenly beings. I forgot the great Vishnu and Brahma. I forgot our mighty Rudras. I forgot my body. I forgot my life. I forgot my feelings and all. Indeed, I forgot all the world. But in truth, I never knew, my Lord, how to forget thee for a moment. O my mother, do not look upon me as a child that has been weaned from thee. Pray, come to my aid and deign to feed me with thy glorious milk of grace.
After 4 years of work, he retired to Metum Kupam. He may have been frustrated with his followers' inability to take up his example and their unwillingness to expand on his work, which remains in Vadalore, largely unchanged to this day. The revolution, in other words, could not expand beyond Ramalingam himself.
Having come to know the ultimate, I resolved to be ever contemplating the form of the one without an equal, that form of infinite beauty and glory I resolved to not be seen by the world. But I, who was resolved and remained in my little corner unknown to any, have been dragged into the open and exposed to the gaze of the world. Is this, my Lord, an act of your inherent mercy, or is this an act of enduring dark Maya? Not knowing the truth, I falter in my steps. O Lord, who dances in the heart of all creation, deign to save me, I pray.
Indeed. His followers often emphasized the miracles attributed to him rather than his social and philosophical teaching. Miracles attributed to him include a night when he burned water instead of oil in a lamp when he ran out of oil to read and write by.
How does that work?
Is a miracle.
Interesting.
He also met Shiva, who visited him and put his legs and feet on his lap. When Ramalingam complained, the seeming man laughed and said, "My son, don't I have this much liberty with you?" And then he disappeared. And Ramalingam realized it was God who had visited him.
That's a great line. I thought we were cool, man.
Can you imagine?
Cool. Other miracles spoke to his philosophy. Shiva's sort of playful, or can be. Other miracles spoke to his philosophy. One night, when food had been cooked for a limited number of guests at Vadalore, 100 people showed up and Ramalingam was told there wouldn't be enough for everyone. He stood up and said, "Pitch," a kind of invocation he often used, and the vessels of food didn't empty until everyone was fed. When the wells went dry in Vadalore, he asked them to bring pour 6 pots of water over his head, and then a downpour began outside, and the 6 dry wells were full again. When a photographer from Madras, Masalamani Mudaliar, arrived to take his photograph, he made 8 attempts, this photographer, but each time could only manage to get the white cloth which Ramalingam wore into the photo. There's, I think, one photo of him, which is a bit blurry. His body was a body of light that could not be captured on a photographic negative, was the idea. Similarly, when a pot maker heard about the failed photographer, his inability to create a photograph, he decided to create a clay statue, and Ramalingam got a hold on it, and he shattered it. The lesson being his aversion to idols and gurus. Again, sounds like Krishnamurti. And it had to extend all the way, of course, to Ramalingam himself. At Mettukumpam, he stayed in a small hut known as Chittivalaham, or place of realization, where he isolated himself and followed the spare and focused lifestyle of a yogi. He followed the Siddha system of medicine for preparing the material and subtle bodies for deathlessness. So maybe at the end of his life, he decided he would break off.
Well, we don't know about end of his life.
Right.
Yeah.
On the 30th of January, 1874, he entered his room at the ashram and asked his followers to lock the door. He said, "If the government order the opening of the door, God's grace will be with me. Nevertheless, those who peep in will see nothing. It will be vacant. I will not be betrayed." Let me end with a little bit of poetry from him. "I've crossed the seas of darkness and evil. I've reached the shore of light and truth. I have seen that which is to be seen. The doors of the temple of reality have been opened to me, and I have seen the wonderful sights within. I've tasted a mirtha which dispels all weaknesses and imperfections. By the light of God's grace I have learnt all and cleared all doubts and questionings. I have attained the form and substance of eternal wisdom. I have reached the state of deathlessness. My body, mind, and soul are in ecstatic joy. I am filled with perfection, with reality as it exists. Having overcome all ignorance, weakness, and evil, all the siddhis have come to abide in me. Lo, all these are the blessings of the grace of the Lord, who dances in infinite mercy in the heart of reality."
So good.
Final thoughts.
He does sound like kind of Krishnamurti.
Yeah, version 1.0.
Yeah, it doesn't sound quite as complete as Krishnamurti. Like, it does sound like there's still a little bit of like meditation, which is kind of a ritual.
Sure.
But it's like really close.
Yeah, and I mean, as a poet, right? Like, it's always going to you're always going to feel like you're just missing some of Ramalingam, which I think is also true of Krishnamurti. Like in poetry, right? You have to read between the lines. I think you have to read between his lines too, in many ways, to really grasp his spiritual vision. How about you?
I think it just gets at the heart of what it's all about in the first place. Like, I think this is something I've been pondering a lot recently, is just there's so many core values in religion that we like to just say and gloss over. Like, we like to say we do it, but we don't actually talk about it. Like, why is it so important? Why aren't we doing this more?
Give me that old-time religion. The simplest things, right, are the hardest.
Yeah.
And the complexities are in many ways a way to distract ourselves from how difficult it is to do the simple work of love.
Yeah.
Our resources today include S.P. Annamalai's The Life and Teachings of Saint Ramalingam, M. Shanmugam's The Philosophy of Saint Ramalingam. The R and the M on the end are sort of interchangeable. Chidabaram Ramalingam own poetry translated by Sri Balakrishnan, English renderings of Thiru Arutpa. I hereby adjourn and declare closed this meeting of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors until such a time as we get together and do it again. And we are winding up our series on occult disappearances and winding in to some medieval mysticism. And this is going to be exciting, friends. If you're not excited, you should be. It is time at long last to address the Kabbalah here on Occult Confessions. It is time to go to Japan and consider Pure Land Buddhism. It is time, of course, to deal with the Via Negativa and the alternate path in medieval Christianity. So, we look forward to those conversations with these two and more here on Occult Confessions. John, thanks for coming.
Goodbye, everyone.
Evangeline, it's been fun.
It's been fun.
My name is Dr. Rob C. Thompson, signing off.